Well, hello, Bob Dendry here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are playing Transport Fever 2. So, last episode we have set up our passenger line from Huddersfield through to Sittingbourne, then through Boston, Dulverton to Bawtry. And it seems to be doing quite well. We're making a nice profit and we're running some fast trains. So, what will this episode bring for us? Well, we've got a couple of options we could look at here. So first of all, what I'm thinking we need to do is we need to increase the efficiency of the lines we already have. So if we look around here, we've got 2 oil stations with, 450, 400 units of oil just sitting there, not being used. We're wasting basically all of those resources for no gain. Similarly, in our fuel refinery, we've got almost 400 there as well. So we need to get high capacity trains or more trains onto these lines so that we can utilize those resources we have to boost our profit and to be able to assist more towns to grow. So let's look at that to start with. So first of all, let's have a look at our oil trains, crude oil. So we've got a capacity of around about 200 and a 204 meter long train. And if we go back over here, how long is our platform? Is it 240 meters or is it longer? Let's have a look. No, so it's 320 meters long, so we can get a lot more oil tankers onto these platforms. So that's going to be our first step. Let's get the time running. And what we'll do is we will get our train 15 headed straight for the depot. And this other train, our train 12, what we're going to do, we're going to wait till it's cleared this passing loop, then we'll send it back to depot as well. That'll be our first step. And while that is happening, let's have a look at possibly expanding through to South Shields from Dulverton. Now, as I noted when we were running our fuel line through here, there's some quite extreme gradients we're facing if we want to build in this direction. So look at that. So Dulverton itself is about 155 meters. Button upon Humber is 4 meters. So that is a massive trek down towards Button upon Humber. So hopefully we can get that running, but it is actually going to be a challenge to make it work. First thing we might try is to try running alongside our existing road corridor. Now that's not necessarily going to be perfect because it appears that roads can actually go down quicker than rails can. As you can see, our rail will not tolerate being pegged to the road here because there's too much slope. So that's not going to work for us. Probably a better option we could look at is have it running a more sort of circular route around this big peak we have here. But before we even do that, we need to look at what side of Button upon Humber we're actually going to be putting our station down. And it will be this side here. So that's not too bad. That's probably a bit easier to navigate down to. So let's give it a go, shall we? We want to avoid bridging at all costs here. I think it looks crap. And it's going to be expensive as well. We may not have a choice. Either that or we need to do some terraforming, which we might do now. Let's give that a go. It looks very ugly right now. Obviously we'll clean it up though. And let's see if we can get the track to go down a little bit further using that little flat bit that we've gotten into place there. So we're still wanting to bridge quite a bit. So we're still so high. All right. We're going to forget this happened. I'm just going to smooth this out a lot. And we're going to try some other approaches. What I'm going to quickly do here, we're just going to pause the game for a little bit. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to, actually let's let the train run a little bit further. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to delete this stretch of track, but I'm going to try and lower it a bit more. And hopefully we'll be able to bridge over the top of it, because there's no reason for these two stretches of track to really interact at all. One's passenger and one's freight purely. So we shouldn't really need to have any interaction there whatsoever. Actually, we'll need to let it run a little bit further. Okay, that works. So let's hopefully, yeah, perfect. And we can get a little bridge over there. That's nice. And now we're back to the difficult part again. And it's just not going up anywhere near as much as it needs to actually work. So the only thing we could potentially do is continue. So look how low we are here. I just don't know if it's going to work. Going to try a tunnel and see if... Okay, so we can actually get it back. But we're back in tunnel territory here again. I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with tunneling. I just wanted to avoid it because it doesn't look great and it's quite expensive as well. But look, we're tunneling now, so we may as well continue on with it. So the question is, how do we get out of our tunnel? Ooh, there we go. It's not great, a lot of tunneling, but look, it's a line, and it works. So we're not going to question it. Oops. Let's get our trains running again as well. Can't forget that. Now we can start building our station at Barton upon Humber, which is fantastic news. So we're going to go with just a 2-track platform, 160 meters, and get it nice and close in here. And from here, it'll be down to South Shields. Just looking through, doesn't look like there's any immediate opportunities for us to expand past South Shields, perhaps through to Cheltenham. But at the moment, we'll terminate our line at South Shields here. And what is our situation like? Okay, so our residential is on this side of the town here. We can pretty much cover, well, actually no, we can't. But we can cover a fair whack of the residential if we were to get a station in here, which is a bit of an unusual setup to have the station on the corner there, but it'll work. So we will run with it. And I hope I haven't spoken too soon when I say that we shouldn't have the grade issues we had between Button-upon-Humber and Dulverton on this stretch of track, and it doesn't look like we will. Though we do have this hill here, which we'll probably need to go around rather than through. So, perfect. That works well. I like it. We will need a crossing loop. Don't know where we'll get a crossing loop in this section here, though. So I'll think about that one. But we can definitely fit one in on this stretch. And on this side of the level crossing here. Oops. So, crossing loop here. It might need to be on this section here that's... So, crossing loop here might need to be on this section here. So we're going to have potential issues if we have trains struggling to get up this grade, but I think we're just going to have to run with it for the moment. We'll put the crossing loop as close as we can to this tunnel here. And good as well, because the loop is on the downhill section of track, so hopefully our trains going up, if they get a straight run through without having to stop, they will get a bit more or keep a bit more speed, because they won't have to deal with the point as much as a train coming on this section would. Another potential issue we might have to deal with is if we have trains coming up this mountain slowly, we may actually hold up the traffic between Dulverton and Bawtry. So we might try and fix that by just running a parallel track here, which goes straight into what will be our terminus platform. Hopefully that will fix it. But I don't 100% know if it will, so we'll just have to keep an eye out. It might also be a good time to put down another depot. I've been using like the one depot for my entire network pretty much at this point, so it's probably going to be a good idea for us to get another depot in. Okay, so we're ready to get a train onto this new South Shields passenger line we've just put down. So, what can we run on here? Let's have a look at what we've got available at this point. I think probably just this tank engine is going to do us fine. I don't foresee there being a massive amount of traffic on this line. Obviously, we're going to have to monitor that though. So, I'll purchase this tank engine and we'll get some of these carriages in. 100 capacity is probably going to do us for the moment. Let's get that tank engine onto the South Shields line. So we'll monitor that. We'll come back for it in a little bit and we'll see how it's looking. Now, while our South Shields line is just getting up and running, I'm having a look at our passenger network here in Dulverton, and there's a fair amount of overloading happening at our bus stops. So we're not taking full advantage of the passengers here, and we're actually losing traffic due to it. So let's have a look and see what our options are. One thing we may want to consider, which I might actually potentially do, is to get a tram network up and running here, which we could run as a more sort of simple loop just around this area here, and we could maybe repurpose our bus stations to go out more towards the periphery potentially. And let's have a look and see what sort of trams we actually have that we can use at the moment. So what I'm going to quickly do here, we will just pop down a tram depot here, just for the moment. Let's do it just temporarily and see what we can actually build. So we've got some nice trams here that have a bit more capacity than our buses do. So up to capacity of 23 versus, where's a bus we can have a look at? Capacity of 9. So I'm thinking it may be a good idea just for us to set up a loop sort of around here, I think. And then we can also reconfigure our bus network to take advantage of that sort of freed up capacity as well. So let's build. So let's have a look and see where our stops are sitting at the moment. So what we might actually be able to do as well is have our tram running in a counterclockwise direction to what our buses are running as well. I'm putting down truck stops, as always. So we'll put 2 trams running each direction at the moment. And let's see how it runs. As you can see, we're not doing fantastic so far. That's all right. We'll leave it a little longer, try and build up some patronage on the line. Potentially we might benefit from having some transport within Barton upon Humber as well, but we'll see how we go there. Huddersfield is really looking quite impressive at this point. There's a lot of high density residential buildings starting to pop up. It looks really impressive until you look at the amount of passengers that are sitting waiting. So we're having the same issue here that we had at Dulverton, that we're actually losing passengers because our stops are overloaded. The Huddersfield main line continues to be fairly lightly used, but the Bawtry line continues to be busy as well. So where are our passengers now, and where are they in relation to our existing public transport network? And we've pretty much got full coverage still anyway. So potentially what we might consider doing is just getting a few more buses on this line. I'm not ready to convert this one to a tram network as of yet because we really have full coverage anyway. So what we might do instead is look to get maybe two more buses. And get them on a Huddersfield loop. And we've got our first train here, which is the PLM 220, which I've been advised was definitely not used for freight at all. but I'll do what I want. It's time for replacement. So this is our first train, and it's now 44 years old out of a lifespan of 35. So it's done its time, and it's time to go to the train museum in the sky. So what shall we do with train 1? Let's have a look and see what we have available to us at this point. And honestly, it's probably just going to be a tank engine, to be honest. Let's have a look. Yeah. It's going to be a tank engine, and it's going to be considerably better. It's going to be cheaper to run higher speed than what we've got running right now. So, yeah, sad to see our first train go, but that's what we're going to have to do. Goodbye. And we're going to run a longer train as well. I might have just assigned that to the wrong line, actually. Please hold. No. I assigned it to the right one. Fantastic. So say hello to our new tank engine. Passenger tank engine, according to the description. Which is now doing the job of our old streamliner that was previously pulling freight as well. But I mean, it does happen. Like we had our... in Australia, we have our 38 class in New South Wales, which is a legendary steam engine over here, which, you know, it did pull freight, both in its streamlined and non-streamlined setups. So it does happen, as much as we'd like to imagine that it doesn't. But something else we can do over here is we can potentially get some more oil flowing. And we are going to need another platform here if we're going to run another oil train. And the question is, where are we going to run it to? Got two options. We've got Boston, we have South Shields. I don't think we have anywhere else that needs fuel. No, so Boston and South Shields. Boston's more integrated with the rest of our network, so that may be our best option, but South Shields having fuel run up there would contribute to improving the line we're running at the moment as well, because it'll boost some population growth in South Shields. So we might actually go with that rather than Boston. Alternatively, we could do both. We could alternate between the two on one line. So that's something to consider as well. Okay, nice. So we've got a little shorter terminus platform here, which will allow us to access this station for Boston and South Shields. So we've still got quite a lot of passengers that aren't getting on our trains, on our Huddersfield to Bawtry line. So, how long are our trains, first of all? 162 meters, so they're maximum length they can be. And we've got 300 passengers waiting at Bawtry. Thanks for reminding me of that game. So we're going to have to get another train on this line. It's doing well. got a very nice profit running. So let's get another train on here. So the South Shields line is still making a loss, but it's not looking too bad. We're close to making, to breaking even. So hopefully it shouldn't be too far. Hopefully it shouldn't be too long until we get that going. Meanwhile, our Dulverton clockwise tram network is making a loss, but our counterclockwise is well, it's just making even actually. But yeah, so that's interesting. How are our buses going on the loop? Our buses are making a small loss, but I'm okay with commuter type transport like this making a loss. I'm not really using it to make a profit. It's more for the economic benefit of getting the community growing. So that's fine. I don't really care about that. The fact we're close to making profit indicates we're probably doing all right. I'm thinking we might try an experiment here. I don't know if this is going to work, but it'll be interesting if it does. We're going to try running with a further line going towards Bawtry, except it's going to run as a express from Huddersfield to Dulverton. I don't know if this will work. I'm hoping it will though. And the reason why we're going to do that is because Dulverton and Huddersfield are both longer platforms, so we can get more passengers in there. And I might go with the Gresley A4 for this one as well, just to show it off. Otherwise, I might not actually get around to using it. So we're going to go for a 244 metre long train just to fill out our wealth. And we didn't name our line, so let's get the train on the line and let's get it renamed as well. So now the Huddersfield Dulverton Express. And hopefully this works out well for us. Because there is one problem we absolutely have, and that is that, especially in Boston Central here, our passengers to Dulverton are not getting on because the trains are already full. So hopefully if we pick up more passengers from Huddersfield that are going directly to Dulverton on the express train, our all stops trains are less packed, so we can get people from Boston moving. Even with Bawtry, it is quite a full station. And in fact, we've got our Dulverton, and we've got Dulverton station as well. We're not getting passengers on the line because our train already filled up at Bawtry. So I think it makes sense for us to do this. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully we don't lose too much money doing it. But I have a feeling it's actually going to work quite well. Okay, so how'd we go with our express line for our first trip? So we've got 90 passengers on board. I'd say that's pretty good. It has taken away the vast majority of the passengers that were waiting at Dulverton, so that's good. So we'll just need to see what happens when it gets back to Huddersfield as to whether or not this is going to be a viable route to be running. Okay, so our new express train has arrived at Huddersfield. Let's see how it's going. So making a little bit of a loss still, but I mean that's because this is the first time we've actually made money apparently in the 3 years it's been running. And let's have a look, and it's full again. So that's how much that appears to be needed. The all stops train is still not going too bad. It has lost a bit of its patronage, but it's still 67 waiting, so that's not too bad at all. But let's have a look at how the actual line is running. So it's still doing well. So we haven't, obviously you can see the profit has come down a bit in some of the years, but it's still holding strong and above the running costs. So I think these two lines will be able to coexist with not much of an issue. But look, it's 1950, so we've played for another 10 years, and that means that it's time for us to leave Dendry Transportation Systems for today. I'm really excited about what the next episode is going to look like, and I'll tell you why. While I was waiting for the express train to come into the station, I saw a pop-up letting me know that there are some new vehicles available, and let's have a look at what vehicles they are. So we have larger capacity box cars, larger capacity flat cars, gondolas, and tank cars as well with a higher top speed. So that will be exciting, and that should allow us to make significant upgrades and modernization to especially our industrial network. So we'll leave it there for this episode, but it is looking like a good episode for the next one. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you get a ding to your device the next time I post a video. Please let me know in the comments, what do you want me to do with this series? What should we focus on? What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? I'm completely relying on you guys to, let me know what you want to see, and I will absolutely take any feedback on board. But look, until next time, we'll leave it there. I've been Bob Dendry. This is Transport Fever 2, and I will see you in the next video.